Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We'll be discussing the next topic in due diligence or business case that's required before projects are launched. And that topic is market research. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. So, every time when I introduce a topic, I give you an explanation as to why it's really required. So, you have a good understanding of the topic. So, why is market research required? Let me give you an example so you understand it better. Many years ago, when I first moved to Australia, I was asked to help a project team with some documentation. So, I joined this team at the very last minute to do some documentation for them. They had created a flashy iPhone app, and I did the documentation, and the product was released into the market. The customers loved it, and then they said, "That's all very well and good, but we have Blackberries. When are you going to release a Blackberry app for us?" So, this was a company who was trying to provide products and services to customers and government agencies, and at that point in time, mainly in the UK, by default, the government employees had BlackBerry as their phone. So, the customers, it's like this: the customer wants to make tomato ketchup, and the company is trying to sell them potatoes and saying, "Look, we've got some really good potatoes. You can make a very good potato mash. You can't make ketchup with potatoes, can you?" So it's a bit like that. So this is why it's really important to do market research, to understand what your customer needs, why do they need it, what are they trying to achieve, what is their strategic business goal or vision. So understanding why is very important before you can get to the what. And I'll discuss about that in a bit more detail later on. Number two, every time I discuss about a topic, after I've told you why it is important, I also give you a few tips or pointers or some of the things I've learned from my past experiences. I share them with you. So I'm going to do the same thing again. When you look at market research data that's presented to you, take it for what it is. Don't treat it like the Bible. Take it with a pinch of salt, if you can, even with a bucket of salt. And I'll give you a reason why. We were once trying to introduce a particular healthcare test in the Australian market. And then we had market research data that was presented to us saying that the market the market opportunity in that specific testing area is, I don't know, $15 million or $20 million. That specific area of testing was a very highly saturated market. I fast forward 1 year from there, we had actually bought a company which is a leading provider in that particular area of specialist testing. And they hold about 50% of the market share in a saturated market. If their revenue was, from that particular testing, was $2 million, so you can figure out what the market value was for that, for that particular area of testing. It's not 15 or 20 million dollars. It's probably in the 4 to 5 million mark. So yes, you will see data that is doctored, and I would always suggest or recommend you to take market research information with a pinch of salt or with a bucket of salt if you can. Also, question, what is their source of information? Who's put this information together? What are their skill sets? So yeah, you have to really think about all of these things when you look at any kind of a data. Moving on. Third point is USPs. We've been brainwashed into thinking about USPs way too much. We try to focus our energies too much on trying to be unique. Everybody wants to be unique. But is it that really important? Do your customers really care for those USPs? That's a better question. Do they really care? Do they really need those unique selling propositions? If they do, well and good. If they don't, then maybe it's time to let that USP go. There's something better you can do then. Everything has got a place, right? So USPs have their own place. I'm not trying to say they're not useful. But there's something better you can do, which is you don't have to try to be unique. You just have to be a little better than your competitor. And I'll explain you how. So when we were in a healthcare, when I was working in a healthcare service, we looked at all the tests that our competitors were providing in a particular specialty area of testing. And we compared our cost, our quality, our turnaround time, which is basically the time in which the patient gets the result, or the customer gets the result, turnaround time. So we compared all those different parameters with our competitors in the market. Then what we did was we changed our technology that helped us to. We introduced cutting edge technologies that helped us to reduce costs, improve quality, and reduce turnaround time. We reduced our costs, we increased our quality, and we reduced the time in which the patient gets a result, so they get a faster result. And in turn, because of these reasons, we were able to provide the service at a cheaper price than our competitors. So basically, it was a win-win for everybody. So in the end, we provided a service that was cheaper, faster, and efficient. They were not unique services. They were exactly the same services. Our technology was different. So what did we do? What did we do in the process that was really attractive to the customer? Is we created value. And that's what's the point I'm trying to get to you is, don't worry too much about is what we're trying to create is unique or is it not? That's not the important question. The important question is, are you trying to create value for the customer? Does the customer care for that value you're trying to create? Are they going to be paying for that value? Because when a customer tries to pay, or when a customer tries to spend $100, they're going to ask a question. Is this product or service that I'm paying $100 for? Is it worth that $100? Is it giving me that $100 worth of value in return? If it gives them $10 worth of value, do you think they're going to pay for the service? A good question to ask yourself when you're trying to create products and services. So focus on creating value. And how do you create value? I'll give you a way that I used to employ. There are many different ways of doing it. I'll give you a very simple way of doing it is, do your market research. Talk to your customers, interview your customers. There's different ways of doing this, but understand their business need. And I said, and that's a very important point. Need, not want. Try to understand what your customers need, not they want. There's a very famous saying by Henry Ford. He said, if I had given customers what they wanted, they would have said they wanted faster horses, not cars. And we would not have had cars now if that was the situation. So Don't ask your customers what they want, because they will tell you what they want, but what they want may not be what they need. So try to figure out what they need. And how do you figure that out? There's many different techniques to do that. There's a lot of experts in the market that will help you figure out what your customers need. One of the easiest ways or simple ways, that I do that is I have a conversation with our customers, try to understand the why first, the big picture. That's the most important thing. Why do you need this? What are you trying to achieve? What's your business, if you're a B2B? What's your business vision, objective, goals, or strategy? That's the big picture. It's very important to understand that. Then after that, you can drill down into other things. I never ask my customers, what do they want? I tell them, tell me what's bugging you in this process. Tell me something what's your pet hate? Tell me something that causes you a lot of pain. Understand their pain points. And then you use that information to extract their business need. What happens if I don't have this? What happens if I remove this? How is this going to affect the process? Tell me why you need this. What's going to happen when we don't have this? Use, the 5 W's, why, when, where, how, what, who. When you don't know a lot of information, I use these 5 W's. They will be your best friends for the rest of your life. When you don't know something, just ask any question. And start with those 5 W's, and you will be surprised how much information you can gather using those 5 W's. Okay, so once you understand the business need, then you can come with solutions that address their needs. And when you address their needs, you create value. So in this process of understanding the business needs and then creating solutions that meet the business needs, you create value for your customers. And that's when your customers would want your product or service. They will pay for your product and service. And you're not going to figure this out in just one day or just doing it once. You do something, you put it out. You first figure out what your customers need. You then, with that understanding, create a product and service that is going to address their needs. You put it out in the market. Do beta testing or whatever if you need to. Then you release into the market. You learn from that experience. Then you go back. You change your product or service. Then you release into the market again. Over time, you start learning and you start perfecting your process or product or service. And then you move towards creating that great value for your customers. That's how you do it. Business is not hard. It's very simple. You understand what your customers need, and you have to try to address that need. And when you do that, you're in business. Thanks for listening, and hope you have a great day.